You're sitting at home, wrapped in the comfort of your own space. Maybe the TV is humming softly in the background, or maybe it's just the sound of your breathing and the ticking clock. Everything feels still, calm, yours. Then suddenly, a knock at the door, or the doorbell rings. And instead of that little rush of excitement you might have felt years ago, you feel something else. A tightening in your chest, a small sigh, maybe even the quiet thought, I really hope this is quick. It's strange, isn't it? Once upon a time, visitors were a highlight of the week. You'd open the door with a smile, put the kettle on, and lose track of time and conversation. But now, you notice your energy drop before you've even turned the handle. You might even find yourself tiptoeing around the house, pretending you're not home. And then comes the guilt. You tell yourself you're being unfriendly, selfish, maybe even rude. But deep down, you know it's not that simple. What if I told you this shift in how you feel isn't a flaw in your personality, but a message from somewhere deeper? What if it says something about the stage of life you're in, and even about the state of your soul? The famous psychologist Carl Jung spent his life exploring the hidden landscapes of the human mind, and he discovered that our need for company, for noise, for activity changes in profound ways as we grow older. He believed this change was not random, but part of a journey your soul takes, one that, if you understand it, could explain why that knock at the door feels more like an interruption than a joy. And that's what we're going to explore today, not just why you don't feel like having visitors anymore, but what that says about the deepest part of who you are and where your soul might be trying to lead you next. Have you ever had plans with someone, maybe lunch, a coffee, or even just a quick visit, and then at the last minute they cancel? And instead of feeling disappointed, you feel this unexpected wave of relief wash over you. Suddenly the day feels wide open again, like someone just handed you a small gift wrapped in quiet. You don't even rush to fill the time with something else. You just sit there, maybe make yourself a cup of tea, and let the peace settle in. Or maybe it's those early mornings you've come to love. The sun hasn't fully risen yet. The house is still, and there's no voice but your own in your head. You can hear the hum of the refrigerator, the sound of birds outside, maybe the distant noise of life starting up somewhere else. But here in your space, everything is calm. You notice how much you treasure that calm. You realize that having it interrupted feels almost like someone walking into a sacred place without knocking. And then there are the unexpected visits. Someone just decides to pop in, and you can feel your energy shift the second you see them standing there. They're smiling, friendly, maybe even someone you love. But all you can think about is how your day just changed without your permission. You sit and talk, you play the role, you smile, but deep down, you're counting the moments until you can have your space back. If you felt any of this, you're not alone. So many people feel this way as the years go by, but they rarely talk about it because it feels selfish or unfriendly to admit. We've been taught to believe that wanting company is always good, and wanting to be alone means something's wrong. But here's the truth. It doesn't mean you failed at being social or that you've closed your heart to the world. It means something inside you is shifting. Over time, our needs change, not just physically, but emotionally, mentally, even spiritually. The things that once filled us with joy can start to feel draining, and the things we once ignored, like silence, solitude, and unhurried time, start to feel like pure gold. It's not that you don't care about people anymore. It's that your soul is quietly rearranging your priorities. It's asking for something deeper, something quieter, something more connected to who you truly are now. And Carl Jung believed that when this shift happens, it's not by accident. It's the beginning of a profound transformation, one that tells you you're stepping into a whole new chapter of your life, whether you realize it or not. Carl Jung wasn't just another psychologist with theories written in dusty books. He was a man who spent his life exploring what most people avoid, the hidden corners of the human soul. While many of his colleagues in the early 1900s focused on fixing problems like anxiety or depression, Jung was fascinated by something deeper, why we change, what gives life meaning, and how the unseen parts of ourselves shape the way we live. He believed that our outer life, the roles we play, the people we see, the noise we surround ourselves with, is only half the story. The other half is what happens inside, in the quiet spaces no one else can see. One of Jung's most powerful insights was that our personality isn't fixed. We aren't the same person at 70 as we were at 20. And that's not just because of age or circumstance. It's because, as we move through life, our soul has different tasks to complete. In our younger years, what Jung called the first half of life, our energy flows outward. We're busy building careers, families, friendships, reputations. We need the outside world to mirror back to us who we are. Visitors, parties, gatherings, these feed that need. They help us define ourselves and our place in the world. But Jung noticed that something shifts, often quietly, as people enter the second half of life. The outward rush slows. The drive to prove yourself fades. Instead, the attention turns inward. We start asking different questions. Who am I really beneath all the roles I've played? What actually matters to me now? What is my life pointing toward? This second half isn't about accumulation. It's about distillation, about letting go of what no longer serves you and listening to the voice inside that's been waiting patiently for its turn to speak. And here's where your feelings about visitors start to make perfect sense. In the first half of life, visitors are fuel. They keep you connected to the world you're building. In the second half, they can sometimes feel like interruptions because they pull you away from the quieter, more meaningful work happening inside you. It's not that you've stopped loving people. It's that your soul now values depth over volume, connection over chatter, and peace over constant stimulation. Jung would say that this isn't you becoming distant. It's you becoming whole. The less you need the world's constant presence, the closer you are to discovering your own. Think back to the earlier chapters of your life. In the first half, your days were filled with movement, and not just physical movement, but emotional movement too. You were busy creating yourself. You were chasing opportunities, building a career, raising a family, forming friendships, proving to yourself and to others that you could stand on your own 2 feet. The outside world felt like your stage, and visitors were part of the performance. Someone knocking at the door meant life was happening. It meant connection, fun news, and the kind of companionship that makes the world feel bigger. In those years, every interaction was a chance to strengthen your identity. The stories you told, the laughter you shared, the plans you made with others, they all shaped how you saw yourself. If someone popped by unexpectedly, it might have been a welcome surprise. If you were invited out, you probably said yes, because being present in other people's lives felt essential to your own. The more connections you had, the more alive you felt. But over time, something subtle starts to happen. It's not overnight. It's gradual, like a slow turning of the seasons. The second half of life begins, not with a birthday, but with a shift in what your soul craves. You start caring less about how you appear to others and more about how you feel inside. Your sense of self no longer depends on constant reinforcement from the outside. You've proven what you needed to prove, built what you needed to build. And now there's a new question quietly whispering in the background. Who am I when the noise stops? In the second half of life, your attention turns inward. You become more interested in self-reflection than small talk. You seek meaning over excitement. You find that you don't need to be everywhere, know everyone, or fill every hour. You can sit in your favorite chair in your own home, doing nothing more than listening to the rain. And it feels richer than the busiest social calendar. The rush to keep up is gone, and in its place is a kind of spaciousness you didn't know you were missing. This is also the stage where the thought of visitors can change. It's not that you suddenly dislike people. It's that your energy feels more precious now. Every conversation, every interruption has a cost. In the first half of life, that cost was worth it because you were building something external. Networks, memories, shared experiences. In the second half, the cost can feel too high if the interaction doesn't match the deeper values you've grown into. Visitors who come with warmth, depth, and genuine connection might still light you up. But those who bring drama, noise, or obligations you didn't ask for, they feel like they're pulling you out of alignment with the peace you worked so hard to find. You may even notice that after certain visits, you need extra time to recover, to get back to the stillness that feels like home. Carl Jung would say that this is the soul's way of guiding you toward wholeness. In the first half of life, the self you're building needs the outside world as a mirror. In the second half, the mirror is no longer out there. It's inside you. Too many visitors can pull you away from that inner reflection. They can keep you playing old roles you've outgrown. And so, Without even planning it, you start protecting your time and space. You choose carefully who crosses the threshold of your home and your heart. It might look to others like you're closing off, but in truth, you're opening up in another way, opening to yourself, to your own thoughts, to the quiet guidance of your soul. This isn't isolation. It's transformation. And it's one of the clearest signs that you've stepped fully into the second half of life. One of the things Carl Jung gave the world was the idea of introversion and extroversion. And no, it's not just about being shy or outgoing. It's about where you get your energy. Extroverts recharge by being around people. The more interaction they have, the more alive they feel. Introverts, on the other hand, recharge by being alone. They can enjoy people, they can love conversations, but after a while, they need to retreat to refill their energy tank. Now here's where it gets interesting. Jung believed that none of us are 100% one or the other. We all have both sides, but one tends to be dominant. And as we age, it's not uncommon for people who were once very social to become more introverted. Not because they've suddenly stopped liking others, but because the type of energy they need has changed. Think of your emotional energy like a battery. In your younger years, it's like that battery charges quickly and can handle a lot of output. You can work all day, meet friends all evening, and still wake up ready to do it again. But over time, your battery changes. It's not just age, it's wisdom. You realize that some activities drain you faster than others, and small talk, constant plans, or unexpected visits can feel like they pull the plug entirely. You start to notice the difference between connections that truly nourish you and those that simply keep you busy. The deep, meaningful conversations with a trusted friend can leave you feeling lighter, energized, understood. But surface-level interactions or visits out of obligation leave you tired and longing for quiet. This is why even people who spent decades as the life of the party can find themselves turning inward. It's not that their love for people disappears. It's that they've learned to conserve their energy for the connections that matter most. The rest begins to feel like noise. Jung would say that this is a natural evolution. The more you grow into your true self, the less energy you waste trying to maintain every social tie. You begin to see your time and energy as sacred resources. Protecting them isn't selfish. It's an act of self-respect. So if you feel less interested in having visitors, it might not mean you're withdrawing from life. It might mean you're finally choosing the life you want to live and the people you truly want to share it with. Carl Jung had a word for the process of becoming the truest version of yourself. He called it individuation. Now that might sound technical, but it's actually simple. Individuation is the lifelong journey of peeling away everything that isn't really you, until what's left is your authentic self. The self that exists beneath your roles, your titles, your habits, and even your history. It's a part of you that's been there since the beginning, but has often been hidden under all the layers you've built to survive in the world. In the first half of life, we're busy constructing those layers: student, spouse, parent, worker, provider, achiever. They're important. They help us function. They help us belong. But as Jung observed, the second half of life has a different purpose. It's not about adding more layers. It's about slowly, carefully, and sometimes painfully removing the ones that no longer serve you. And here's where solitude becomes so important. When you're constantly surrounded by people, you're constantly slipping back into old versions of yourself. The ones you're used to seeing. You laugh at the same jokes, repeat the same stories, play the same part you've always played in their lives. Without even noticing, you end up performing instead of being. But when you're alone, there's no audience. There's no need to keep up the act. You can explore your own thoughts without interruption. You can listen to your inner voice, the one that gets drowned out in the noise of conversation and obligation. This is why too many visitors can slow down individuation. It's not that visitors are bad or that you never want company. It's that their presence can anchor you to a version of yourself you've outgrown. And if you spend too much time in those old roles, you risk never stepping fully into the self you were meant to become. Jung believed that individuation is the soul's calling. Ignoring it leads to restlessness, emptiness, and a feeling that something is missing. Even if your life looks fine on the outside, answering it requires space, quiet, and honesty. And yes, sometimes that means politely declining company so you can keep walking your own path. closely tied to individuation, is another one of Jung's most fascinating ideas, the shadow. The shadow is made up of all the parts of yourself you've learned to hide or deny. Some of these parts might be traits you see as negative: anger, jealousy, selfishness. Others might actually be strengths that were discouraged when you were younger: ambition, confidence, sensuality, or creativity. Over the years, you've pushed them into the background because the people around you or the roles you had to play didn't have space for them. Facing the shadow is uncomfortable, even scary, because it means admitting that you're more complex than the version of yourself you've been showing the world. This is where solitude becomes not just helpful, but necessary. Alone, you can sit with your shadow without judgment. You can ask yourself, why do I feel this way? What have I been avoiding? What parts of me am I ready to reclaim? When visitors are around, especially ones who expect you to be the old you, it's easy to shove the shadow back into hiding. You put on the mask again because it's easier than explaining the changes you're going through. But every time you hide those parts, you slow your own growth. Boundaries become essential here, not as walls to keep everyone out, but as gates that open only for the people who truly see and accept the whole of you, shadow included. So when you choose solitude over company, you're not just avoiding people. You're creating the conditions your soul needs to do its most important work, becoming whole. And that's something worth protecting. There is a certain stillness that comes when you're alone, not the kind of loneliness that aches, but the kind of solitude that feels like a soft blanket around your soul. In these moments, the world slows down. You notice the light as it falls across your floor. You hear the faint hum of the wind outside. You feel your own breathing steady and calm. These moments are sacred because they bring you back to yourself. Solitude is not an empty space. It's a full, living space where your thoughts can settle like leaves drifting to the ground, without constant chatter, without the rush of others' needs. Your own mind has room to breathe. You begin to feel the quiet stirrings of creativity, the ideas you didn't know were there, the memories that surface gently, the sudden inspiration to write, paint, plant, or simply sit in gratitude. When you are alone, the world speaks in softer voices. The rustle of the trees feels personal, as though the earth is whispering to you. You notice the patterns in the clouds, the way the air changes before rain. You hear your own inner voice more clearly, unbroken by the noise of other people's opinions and expectations. This is where wisdom lives, in the quiet spaces you create for yourself. For some, the discomfort they now feel with visitors isn't about disliking people. It's about protecting this sacred space. Your soul knows that too many interruptions can scatter your thoughts, drain your energy, and pull you back into roles that no longer fit who you're becoming. It is not rejection, it is preservation. You are guarding the ground where your growth is taking root. This isn't isolation. It's self-love. By giving yourself the gift of solitude, you are allowing your spirit to restore itself, your mind to become clear, and your heart to open again in its own time. Solitude is where you meet yourself fully and realize you are never truly alone to begin with. It's natural to feel a pull towards solitude as you grow older and wiser. But it's also natural to feel pressure to keep up appearances, to remain social because you always have been or because others expect it. Many of us have been taught that saying no to a visit means we're rude, unfriendly, or selfish. But the truth is, honoring your own needs is one of the kindest things you can do, for yourself and for others. You can still balance connection with solitude in ways that feel gentle and nourishing. Instead of long, unplanned visits, you might choose short, intentional meetups, a morning coffee with a friend, a walk in a park, or a brief phone call to check in. These moments keep you connected without overwhelming your need for space. When setting boundaries, be calm and honest. You can say, I've been spending more time resting and reflecting lately, but I'd love to talk soon. This keeps the door open while honoring your own limits. Over time, people will come to understand that your quietness is not distance. It's care for your own well-being. Reframe this shift as a step into deeper authenticity. You are not less social. You are more aligned. You are choosing peace over pressure, depth over distraction. This is maturity. This is wisdom. Let go of the guilt that says you owe everyone your time. You owe yourself the freedom to live in a way that feels right for your soul. And sometimes that means closing the door gently, not in rejection, but in reverence for the sacred life unfolding inside. Imagine that same knock on the door from the beginning of our story. The sound is still there, but this time, your reaction is different. Instead of feeling guilty for not rushing to answer it, you take a deep breath. You glance toward the door, but your heart feels calm. You know that your choice, whether to open it or not, is yours alone, and it doesn't make you unkind or antisocial. It simply means you've learned to listen to what your soul needs most right now. The truth is, life changes us. The things that once filled our days with joy, crowded rooms, long conversations, busy schedules, may no longer feel the same. This isn't because you've lost something, but because you've gained something else. Wisdom, clarity, and a deeper connection to yourself. Solitude has become your sanctuary, a space where your thoughts can breathe and your spirit can rest. It's where you can sit in peace with a cup of tea, notice the way the sunlight falls across the room, or simply listen to the quiet rhythm of your own heart. This stage in life is not about closing the world out, but about letting the right things in and protecting them fiercely. So, the next time the knock comes, you can smile to yourself, whether you choose to open the door or let it pass. You know the choice is made from a place of love for yourself and for the life you built. If your soul could speak right now, what would it ask you to protect? And if this message touched your heart, I'd love for you to join our community by subscribing. Here, we share more gentle reminders, deep reflections, and truths that help you live your later years with peace, purpose, and joy.